If you need to add more than one user, or if you're just starting out with your account, you can add multiple users by clicking the Configure tab and then clicking Add Multiple Users. Adding multiple users to the system is done using an Excel template. You can download this template by clicking the link to Download User Template under User Upload Template. Columns A through F are already filled out by our default fields. Columns A through D are the only fields that are required to be filled in for each user. Column A is for user type. We have 4 types of users in the LMS. The first is owner. There can only be one of these per account, and it is generally the person who created the account. This can be changed by one of our representatives if necessary. And the owner does not need to be on the spreadsheet since they are already in the system by creating the account. The second type is super administrator. The super admin can do almost everything the owner can in the system, except for create and edit custom fields, view and edit display settings, and view and edit account information. But most importantly, super admins can see, assign, and run reports on all users. The third type is administrator. Administrators can only see, assign, and run reports on certain groups that are assigned to them at the discretion of the owner or super admins. The fourth and final type is learner. This will be the majority of your users. When learners log in, they will only see the My Training tab and will only be able to see themselves and take training and view offline courses that have been assigned to them. So we'll add a few learners. Column B is for login. Choosing a login for your learners is an important decision. All logins have to be unique, meaning there cannot be 2 of the same login per account. It should also be something that is easy for you and your users to remember. Generally, we suggest using something like an email address or an employee ID. The only stipulation on login is that it has to be at least 4 characters long. So we'll go ahead and fill out some logins for our users. Columns C and D are for the user's first and last names. Now these are all of the required fields that have to be filled out for each user. Column E is for email. The field is not required by us, however the email field can be very helpful to you and your users since this is how users can be notified of their training and login information. The email is also required in order for a user to reset their own password, but we understand that everyone has an email, so this is optional. Column F is for group. The ability to create user groups is possibly one of the most useful tools for you in the Safety Skills LMS. There are 2 ways to do this. The first is this group field, and the second is something we call smart groups, which I will discuss later in this video. But first, let's discuss this group field. Whatever you enter in this field will automatically create a group when you upload your list to the system. For XYZ Corp, I know I want to differentiate between my office employees and my field employees. So in this field, I'm going to type office for those who work in the office and field for those who work in the field. And those groups will be automatically created once I upload this spreadsheet. Now columns G through W can be custom fields. You have up to 17 to work with. This means you can add information to the system that is very specific to you and your training matrix. These custom fields can be used to potentially create smart groups. You'll want to think about custom fields and groups in 3 different ways. The first is how you'll be segmenting learners to assign training. The second is how you'll be segmenting learners for reporting. And the third is how you'll segment to assign to administrators if needed. For example, I know XYZ Corp will primarily be assigning training based off of job title, so I want to add that field. So all I do is just go into the first field available and type job title. Now I'll just enter the job titles for each of my users. I also need to think about how I will want to run reports for my users. I know I'll want to see their location, so I'll type location in the heading field, and then fill in the location for each of my users. I will show you how to create groups for these fields once the sheet is loaded in the system. Lastly, I may want to assign learners to certain admins based on their manager, so I'll need a field for that as well. So I'll go ahead and type manager into the column heading, and then enter that information for each of my users. And that's pretty much all of the information I need for XYZ Corp. Your matrix might be simpler or more complicated than this one, but the steps will pretty much be the same. Once I have all the information in my spreadsheet, I'll take a quick look over it to make sure the correct information is there, especially logins, since everything on this spreadsheet can be mass edited and updated except for the login field. If you ever need to edit logins, they will have to be adjusted one at a time in the LMS, so we want to make sure we get that field correct on the initial upload. Once I know it's all correct, I'll save it as either a CSV or an Excel doc version 97 to 2003. Saving as a CSV is as easy as going to File and then clicking Save As. Once you're in the folder location, just make sure that CSV, Delimited is selected in this dropdown, and then just click Save. You may get this error saying that some features are not compatible with CSV, but you can go ahead and click Yes to continue.